If you're on the fence between buying a home and renting a home, just remember time is your greatest asset. And the sooner you can buy a property, the sooner you can have equity, and it helps you have an opportunity for freedom when you retire with a paid for home. That's what you should be working towards.
We've had many conversations in the past about renting versus buying. And I grew up, my family rented my entire life. And so, wherever we were, they always rented a home. So, or a townhouse, condo, whatever. You had the opposite. And so we've had conversations about that, about the differences of renting and buying. And I never knew anything about it, obviously, until we had conversations about it.
Yeah, so obviously we were like from two different extremes.
Right.
And it's probably good. So for folks out there who are like, hey, why are they talking about renting versus buying?
Yeah.
Well, the podcast is about health, wealth, and relationships. So all three of those really encompass this. And, the wealth part of it is a big piece of this puzzle. For young people, middle age, wherever you're at, it's part of our society. We have to have money to work. So, those who know us know that we've built our wealth in manufacturing and real estate. So those two industries. So we know a little bit about this.
Yes.
And we have properties all over the place that we've accumulated. So when I started that, it was basically I was in manufacturing and business. So I'm a business person by day. But knowing as an entrepreneur that there's not a great retirement package, I started buying real estate. And that turned into its own business in itself. And today we have over 400 doors that we take care of and are part of our portfolio. And it's been a blessing to us, but it takes one to start. It only takes one.
And how old were you when you bought your first one?
Yeah, so I was a little bit unusual in that I was 19 when I bought my first house.
Yeah.
Now, my parents were geared that way, and they didn't rent. They didn't, go down that path. Yeah. They saw that, hey, it's more advantageous to buy. There are different conversations from both camps, but what I know at this point, after having hundreds of conversations, if not more, I can't even count how many times I've had conversations or coaching sessions talking to people who are in that area, that buy as soon as you can.
Yeah.
Because if you're only renting, you're just giving your money away. You have no tax write-offs, you have no equity build, you have no potential appreciation. Now, there are times when it's better to rent versus to buy.
And what are those times?
So I would say the times if you're going to rent, then it's typically those who are transient, who aren't going to be in a spot very long, or maybe they've just come into a new job, they've moved into an area, hopped states, or something like that. And they're trying to determine, is this job going to work out? Or maybe they're on a consulting basis and they're only there for a year. Yeah, obviously, if you're not staying in that state, rent, and it is what it is. But if that's the case, then it's a business expense. It's a little different if you're in a consulting position.
And what about, real quick, the people that have bad credit and things like that who have to rent? Just what do you give the advice?
So there's different scenarios, different strokes for everybody. If you cannot buy a house, then you have to first understand that buying a house is the most lucrative and the best way to build wealth, at least to start that journey. Renting is not. It will never grow wealth in the long run because it acts like a savings account. Real estate over history, it will ebb and flow, but it will always trend higher. So that's why a $40,000 house 40 years ago now is, a $300,000-$400,000 house. And I don't know if that's exactly accurate time-wise, but it's on an upward trend. So you have to decide what your goals are. Do you want to be a renter all your life, or do you want to make one of the easiest choices which can help you build wealth?
Right. And what are some first steps they can do if they are interested in going that route?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think the first step is they have to realize, number one, hey, what's my long-term goal here? Do we have a goal? Do we have the picture of living in the city and just renting, or do we have a picture of, suburbs or owning property or properties? One of the two,
Right.
whichever. But I think it always starts with, what's your goal? But in the book, which kind of has the same conversation, it kind of gives you a journey that, some people want to be in real estate, but some people don't. But those who do, even if you're renting now, if you just buy your first home, that's really your pathway to start into real estate. And it's a great lesson because you can learn how to handle real estate, how to take care of your home and those types of things. And it's a segue into, greater things. And then if you can buy a second, maybe a third, maybe stop there, or maybe buy 10 more, hundreds more, who knows where it may go. It definitely is a pathway to freedom, but for those who are like, I don't want anything to do with real estate, but I'd like to own my own home someday,
Right.
Which
That's
who
still,
wouldn't?
yeah.
It's the American dream, There are things that you can do right now that can start you on that path. First would be, you need to figure out, what your goals are. You need to start looking at property. You need to determine, hey, what's my credit look like? What kind of savings do I have? What do I need to do to get the things that I need to have to be able to buy a house instead of being a renter the whole time? Or you get caught in a trap like your family where they're just there forever and that becomes the norm.
Yeah, and that was just how everything was. And I know there were a few times credit was an issue, and there were a few times I remember we went and looked at houses and all that, and I remember my sister and I thinking, oh, this would be great, and so excited, and it just didn't work out for one reason or another. And we don't know all the details, obviously, because we were young, but I know credit was an issue.
Yeah, you're just kids, but really it's you have to get in the right mindset to understand that you're giving your money away every month.
And a lot of people I think just don't think like that. They're in the rut of doing the same thing and not realizing, like you said, our girls are on trajectories, to go that route, buying their first place and hopefully get into another one and have someone else pay the other one, be paying the bills on the other one while they're building wealth. So
if we're talking in the context of building real estate or letting real estate accumulate and build wealth for you, I mean, that's fantastic. It's one of the top 5 ways to define wealth, noted by the IRS. In fact, I think it was maybe last year they stated, and I could be wrong on the timeline, but they stated that it's the number 1 way to build wealth. So while they're seeing all these tax returns, they're saying, hey, real estate is the game because you have, number 1, it hedges against inflation. And what that means if some of you are younger folks and just kind of hearing this conversation for the first time, it means that as inflation goes up, so does your property. So they ride somewhat together in conjunction, so it protects what you have. Now, not everything's like that. So inflation can go up, which means inflation's always going to go up. Over time, it will always go up. It may, level a little bit, but it's always going to go up. It's just in the design of money, and how the government takes care of it. So when it goes up, your house goes up too, which protects you and you grow with it. And then when you retire someday, or say you get your house paid off, well, that house that you may have paid, $150,000 or $200,000 for is now worth $600,000, whatever it is. And you own that asset. So in addition, if you were to need money and whatever career you had didn't provide enough income along the way for you to create a substantial savings, you also have something to fall back on.
Right.
If you're renting, guess what you get to fall back on?
Nothing.
0, because you don't own the property.
Right.
You've just been giving your hourly money away for years.
You see nothing for it.
And you see nothing in return for it. So, look, there's no doubt that I'm a firm believer, and my career path, is an example of that you can easily build wealth by buying your home instead of renting your home. But it takes some strategy, it takes some goals and some sacrifice. The saying that I continually remind everybody is the things you spend money on today is what's stealing the future.
Yes, I love that.
Stealing your future from you. So you're giving it away.
Right.
You're giving away on the things that you buy today that are bloat spending, unnecessary spending on junk that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And it may be fulfilling now, but man, how's it going to feel when you're 50, 60, 65, 70 and you want to retire, but you don't have enough, which is a pretty common thing, that you don't have enough to then retire. So you're trying to figure it out. Well, if you had a home, it's like a cushion. It gives you a cushion there. So it's a good thing to have.
Yeah, they have that comfort of knowing that there's something just in case.
So the first thing is, look, a lot of people will say, well, I don't have any money, saved up. Well, start saving some money, first of all. Secondly, there are a lot of different loan packages where you get in for 3, 5, 7%, and up. So, but as low as that. So, you can obviously talk to a mortgage broker and get some of that information. They'll give you that information for free, talk to you, give you kind of rates and let you know what you have to do. And it will give you an opportunity to know what you have to start working on to get to that point. So then you say, okay, here's the things they're saying I have to do. My credit score is, 100 points low. I really need to get to, 5%, down on whatever property, and here's what they're saying I can afford.
Yeah.
They'll give you that information. It's just a phone call.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
It's a great tool to utilize.
Yeah, so it's just a phone call and you get that information, and now you at least have a target of what you have to have, what you need to do to be a homeowner someday. Because here's what I know, man, time goes so fast.
Yes.
And you blink and it's gone. And, on another note, you get some of these guys like Dave Ramsey, and look, I'm not a Dave Ramsey hater.
Yeah.
He's done a lot of good in the world. He sells programs.
Yeah.
That's what he does. We don't. We're just talking about life experiences. But his whole debt, no debt is the only healthy way for your finances. Well, that's untrue. That's just not true. And he knows it. There's secured debt and there's unsecured debt.
Yeah.
Unsecured debt is the kind that there's nothing to back it up with. In other words, your credit cards. Credit cards are unsecured debt, which means there's nothing there. It's just debt, and that we're trusting that you're going to pay it back.
Right.
That's bad debt, and he's totally right in that area. But when you're talking about real estate, we're leveraging time over money to help you pay down an asset that rides with inflation, which being a home, that's good debt.
Yeah.
That's good debt. And it's the debt that will give you something substantial at the end of the day if you do it as soon as possible.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
So one last thing, everybody's always talking about, here's another question I hear, well, when's the right time to buy?
Yeah.
One of my favorite people on Shark Tank, Barbara Cochran, she's incredible. And she made, she's a big time real estate gal. And she says the same thing. Look, the greatest time to buy real estate is now.
Yeah.
It's always now.
Just now.
It's never going to be priced right. And would you rather wait a decade and be looking for the perfect price, or would you rather have something that you would have had control of and owned for the last decade while it's going up in value?
Right. Yeah.
Easy choice. Easy choice. And had we not done that, there's properties where I've paid thousands over.
Yeah, more.
To make sure I get the deal, because at the end of the day, and I've had those for 15, 20 years.
Yeah.
Well, if I hadn't had those properties have well tripled, some of them.
Yeah.
Which would you rather have?
Exactly.
What's the old saying? A bird in the hand's worth two in a bush.
I guess. I don't know.
I don't know where these things come from.
Where do you get that? Yeah.
They come to me all the time, and everybody looks at me funny. I don't know where they come from, but yeah.
Probably books you've read or something.
Bird in the hand's worth two in the bush.
Yeah.
In other words, hey, you have something in your hand, or there's two in the bush.
Right.
Which one you
You're
want?
giving your
the two
money.
in the bush you don't have control over,
Right.
or the one in the hand that you have. It's yours.
It's important.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yep.
So, at the end of the day, the whole conversation here and the whole premise is: look, if you're renting, you need to be looking at buying. If you want to build wealth, you're missing one of the greatest opportunities that you have, that you could be giving that money away. Now, again, if you're transient or you're in a temporary location or something like that, then yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Don't buy yet. Wait till you're settled and you know the area. Then find a good real estate agent. Call a mortgage broker. Those are the people who will talk to you for free. But a mortgage broker will help you understand how much you'd be approved for. They'll help you understand the loan packages that are available for your situation. They'll also help you understand, what you need to work on, credit score, and the little things that need to boost you up to where you get to the right spot. So make that phone call, because the sooner you do, the sooner you have an opportunity to start looking for a home, purchase your home, and realize the American dream by one day owning your own home. And maybe, just maybe, if you like real estate and you're excited about it, I don't know, you'll buy 2, 3, 10, 50, hundreds more.
That would be great.
That's the deal.
Yeah.
So don't waste time. Get out there and do it today.